Hello, my name is Luna, and you're listening to Infinite Souls, a podcast for that real talk about consciousness, spirituality, and realizing our infinite potential. Mucho, mucho love and light. Hello, Infinite Souls. Welcome to another podcast. Happy Tuesday. Happy Thankful Tuesday. What's up? Oh my God, today I'm very, very excited. Today's episode is being recorded via film and also audio, if you're hearing this only audio. And I have a lovely, lovely guest on today. She is a healer, an aspiring model, supermodel, okay, conscious creator. She also writes, does a whole bunch of things. She's a jack of all trades. Is a lovely, lovely, lovely human being. Her name is C, like the ocean. C, say hi to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Infinite Souls. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm beyond honored and I'm glad to share this space with you here now.
Yeah, so excited to have you on. Thank you for being part of this. Um, this podcast, it just happened to be like kind of something random for me. But I'm very excited to get to have wonderful people like you to share different perspectives, to learn from, just to share, and just to share the love. I love it. Thank you for being on. It means a lot to me. Alrighty, so um, I would like to ask you a question, kind of like a little icebreaker. Okay, what are you grateful for? It is Thankful Tuesday.
Oh, I'm grateful for you. Seriously, I'm so grateful for, the inspiration and the love and the goodness that you're curating here just by showing up. And like you said, like this was this was spontaneous, your podcast. Like, wow, I'm beyond honored to be a piece of that creativity because I'm such a fan and you're amazing, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, sister. Sister reflection, sister. Okay, we're all reflections. We already be knowing this. Okay, and you're close by. You're also a local, right? You live in Ventura County.
Yes, I
Yes,
live in
yes.
Ventura County.
Okay.
Yeah, by the beach in between the mountains.
Oh, nice, nice. Okay, cool. California girl. um, so today we're going to talk about the family dynamic and self-awareness and how to incorporate that, how to, show up as your full self and honor yourself while still having these relationships with your family. And C is kind of an expert about this. I'm going to learn so much. I know I have a lot of questions for you. So I hope that you have patience with all the questions.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so go ahead and let us know. I know that you do live with family, correct? So do you want to talk about how how that goes, how you got to where you're on now?
Yes, definitely. And I'd love to start by saying, an expert is a broad word, but I definitely have found deep healing there. And I know there's a lot of medicine that I have received from just life and guidance itself that I can offer. And I hope it leads whoever's watching this to find themselves able to nurture the soil around them more deeply so that their roots can really nourish and grow, finding home within yourself and being connected to really who you are and where you come from, whether it be by bloodline or by soul travel, whether you were put with your new family, your chosen family. Family is such a broad term. And reminding ourselves that, this is for all our relations and not just our mother, father, sister, brother, because we are all that to each other. So thank you so much. I'm honored that your introduction was very flattering. Thank you so much.
Yeah, your chosen, that's it's true, your chosen family, talking about what you're saying, the chosen family. I also had had noted that, like a mental note, your chosen family also, you know, it doesn't have to be like family related. These are your closest relationships that you have, or maybe people that you live with, for example, you know, because
Mhm.
sometimes you can't get away from those people, and you definitely don't see eye to eye. And sometimes people aren't open-minded and they don't want to listen to you, you know, say your opinions and so on. um so what how did you what did you have to do? Did you do healing for yourself to get to this point where you are right now?
Absolutely. And I had to heal myself to such a level of understanding where I realized nothing outside of me is about me. However, everything internally is a reflection of what I'm witnessing, and realizing that I'm witnessing my family, right? How they talk to me, how they respond to me. And I had to get in a place of healing myself to realize, wow, when they point out my insecurities, it's because they are insecure. I had to realize they're not doing that because they don't love me or because they're judging me. They're doing that because they love me so much, they want the best for me. And as wicked and twisted as that may sound, when when you finally come to a place of realizing that, you realize, like you kind of feel bad for them because you love them so much. You wish they didn't have that feeling inside them. And I began to pray for those feelings, right? I began to pray for them. Like, wow, I pray that, you know, my sister feels comfortable in her skin. I pray that my mother can find the beauty that she is, you know, without feeling that aging is you know, bad. And I see that in her age group, right? Like not just my mother, like that whole generation. Like you can kind of see how society's played a role in their conditioning. And I had to heal myself and see how I was conditioned and uncondition those conditions, which was so much work and is still a continuous project, right? Like you are a never-ending project. And I had to come to that like letting go of all that like fear and anxiety that comes with letting go of who you think you are supposed to be, and realizing like my parents are just like me, except they're trying to have it all figured out for me, you know, so they're never going to let me really see their human side. And if they are, maybe they're breaking down and they don't know what they're doing, like, you know. And letting go of all expectation and realizing I can only take care of myself, and that includes how I show up, how I react, how I had to change to allow myself to nourish the soil around me. And I'm not gonna lie, psychedelics really played a huge role in allowing me to really step outside myself. You know, I've sat with Niños medicine, which is psilocybin, and I've also sat with ayahuasca and combo, and both of those are also plant allies. And I'd really recommend that if you're thinking about sitting with psychedelics, you talk to a professional and someone that can really support you there if it's something that you think could help your journey, because it really helped me to bring me this piece of being where I am, to allow others to be where they are, accepting them exactly as they are
Mhm.
for the greater good of all.
I love that. I love that. Now, when you did this plant medicine, did you do it on your own, or did you do it facilitated with a shaman, or how?
Yes, yes, I did it with facilitated with the shaman, and I'm very grateful for my experience, because just through traveling the world, all this kind of fell into my lap, and one person that I met randomly led me to the next, and it was almost like the universe just brought it to me, right? And I wholeheartedly trust that if you're hearing this right now and this crossed your path and it's a synchronicity, that's your angels trying to tell you, hey, maybe you should look into something to support your healing journey. And you don't have to try it, but just you even learning about the plant medicine itself is connecting to that spirit of that element of that plant. And that is enough. And, you know, just understanding that there's so much more than what we believe. And if we're having a hard time letting go, knowing that you're not alone, you know, and there are spirits and teachers and healers out there to support you, and don't be afraid to have that support. And you'd be surprised how much they could help you with family healing as well.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I haven't personally I haven't worked with psychedelics a lot. I have microdosed with mushrooms, but I haven't done like a shamanic dose where you have an ego death, right? So it's like um it's not for everybody, obviously, and it is something that basically what it does is it gives you a different perspective, right? Like a wider perspective of life, so you can see that anything is really possible. That you're only looking at life from a limited perspective for the most part, right? It widens your perspective. That's what it does. The psychedelics.
Yeah, so I can't really speak for everyone because to everyone it can be a different experience, kind of like how like drinking alcohol is different for everyone, like I guess that's not even a good example because that's more of a spirit itself, but
Well,
it's
everything's a spirit, right? Like I think
hard.
everything has spirit. Yeah.
Yeah, like everything's energy, and yeah, and spirit is energy, infinite energy, source consciousness. But um, I wish I had a better explanation. I can only kind of share my journey and my experience, and I can't really speak for others because I feel like you have to really try something for yourself because our language is so diverse that if I even share what I think it's like, I'm kind of tainting it before you even get there.
Yeah.
And I don't wish to do that. I want you to experience it for yourself, and I can only say it's really life transformational, and you will receive something, and if you are afraid, look at those fears, because I know I feel fear sometimes, even every time I'm going to go into it again, I'm like, oh shoot, and I can see my mind wanting to play tricks on me and tell me what to fear, but it's like, no, everything is love. I trust myself. I love myself. I know myself. I can guide myself. I'm with me. I love me. All of me is welcome. It's kind of like a acceptance of all that is, and realizing that the only thing that you can take care of is this, yourself, your body, your temple, your inside, within.
Yeah.
And it helped me take accountability and realize, how connected we are, and my realize and observe my life and my patterns and my childhood. And yeah, like you said, bring a new perspective. It does bring a new perspective, but that perspective is going to be different for everyone, but the same. Ultimately it shows you that everything is love, even those things that hurt, even those things that suck, even those things that you're like, why is this even fair? Like, it
Yeah.
shows you like it is, and it's love, and it's for you, and just trust the universe, have compassion, keep your head up, and I'm really grateful that I had that realization young, because I used to take my family for granted. And I realized, time is limited with people. Not everyone lasts forever. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. How do you want to experience them while they're here without regret, or without, I wish I would have, I wish I could have, and I had to heal relationships within my family, within my bloodline. I didn't have the best relationship with my father, and I had to have that uncomfortable conversation to get to a place where I used to be afraid of him, and I'd run away and kind of not want to be in the same room as him, to every time I see him, I'm like, hey dad, I love you. I'm gonna give you a hug, okay? And like, I hug him and I could see his discomfort, but he's just like, okay. And he lets it happen, but it's almost like hugging and kissing a
Yeah.
cement wall. And like, it makes me feel like, wow, I know that every time I give him a hug, that wall gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And it's beautiful to see with his grandchildren. He's a whole new human. And I'm like, wow, okay, the cycle we've broken, it's like, wow, we can break these cycles when we just start to heal ourselves and push the fear aside to show up differently.
Mm-hmm. So you took it upon yourself. You showed up as being the person who's going to break these ancestral, you know, chains or
Cycles.
whatever that we have, cycles. Yeah. So kudos to you. That's amazing, because a lot of people, it's hard for them to even talk to their family. You know what I mean? And I think it's important for us that are, more self-aware and are doing the healing to heal ourselves. We know, just by healing ourselves that we are healing the collective, let alone, especially the people that are close to us, our family, our ancestors. So that's amazing. And so I do want to ask, how was the dynamic when you were younger with your family, and now how is the dynamic? What is like the contrast?
So the dynamic when I was younger, I had two older sisters and my father and my mother, and then it was me, right? So we were a family of five. And growing up, my father, he was kind of more of the stay-at-home parent than my mom. My mom worked really hard. She was very educated, very successful. She recently graduated with her bachelor's in nursing with her and my two older sisters. So like shout out to them because that plays a big role in the dynamic. But to go back to my childhood, yeah, my older sisters, they had a harder upbringing than I did. I'm the baby, and you already know how it goes. Like, it really does matter the order that you're born in because the older siblings, regardless, they're going to take a parental role figure in your life, because
Which one are you?
I'm the baby.
Oh, you're the baby. Me too.
Oh my gosh, that free spirit, man. That comes
That's why. See.
You're awesome. But you being the baby, you really get to experience five different lives ahead of you, because you're hearing these people's stories, you're seeing them, you're seeing their life, how they react. Like, I really got to learn from my sister's mistakes, and I wasn't shy to put myself in their shoes, but I was afraid to be in their shoes that I just kind of stayed back. And my father, he, in our culture, we're Hispanic. So, like, it's okay to, it's not okay. Let me start by saying that. It's not okay, but in the Hispanic culture, you could spank your children. It was looked upon as like, and it might still be looked upon as like the norm, like the social norm, if your child talks back to you, like a parent, boom, they slap you across the face or like they'll spank you. Like, you're very, very lucky and blessed. You'll have some Hispanic parents that like talk to you and tell you all about it. Yeah, and have that conversation with you. And luckily my sisters are those beautiful humans now, but my father didn't have that luxury of growing up with parents that saw that way, and he would get spanked around, smacked around, so to him that was how he kind of raised us. And my father's a beautiful human. He's so giving, so caring. Like, a lot of people in the community know him just because he's so giving. He'll selfless. I mean, he'll fix somebody's sink who's struggling and to make ends meet, and he'll fix their sink and give them a meal. I'm just like amazed by his generosity.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That's fair saying, hey.
Yeah. So I grew up seeing that, but I also saw my father's temper. I saw his human side, and I saw that inner child in him that was afraid and insecure and didn't really know how to make sure that his children grew up to be good people. So he reverted back to how he was parented, you know what I mean? So he'd smack us around whenever he thought something was his way or the highway kind of thing, you know what I mean? And so I feared my father, and you can imagine like a little girl like fearing her father, like you don't want to be around because you don't want to get smacked around. And so he would coach our soccer teams. Like, he was so present, but I was always afraid of him. So like I was living this life that I didn't really know how to be comfortable in my body. And eventually that played a role in how I acted and treated myself. I didn't love myself. I wondered why I wasn't lovable, and I realized I saw my world through my insecurities and like my hurt and my pain. And it wasn't until I got actually, I was going to school to be a firefighter, and I ended up working for a volunteer fire department right after I graduated because I was like, this is gonna look great on my resume. I'm gonna give back to the community. I was like trying to live a really good life. And I was sexually assaulted by one of my coworkers. And I kind of just pushed it down and ignored it, like I pushed down the pain in my past, from my childhood. And it was that experience that caused me to really face myself and see how much I stored away, and then was reflecting that as my reality. And then psychedelics played a huge role in that healing for me, you know what I mean? And so, like, that's why I say everybody's experience is so different. But for me, it really helped me come to a place of realizing, like, wow, I wasn't meant to be a firefighter. And earlier in the months before I actually got sexually assaulted, I freaking fell through a roof, and I was totally fine. I was totally fine. Like, I went to the ER, and everything was fine. They did x-rays, and I was also really buff. So my muscle actually ended up saving my life. Like, my muscle held my bones, but also I really believe that, like, my grandmother had passed away and she never wanted me to be a firefighter. I believe, like, she caught me and laid me on the ground. Like, I felt that deeply.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so after he assaulted me, like, I just was shoving my emotions down, right? And this is where I learned emotions, if you don't feel them and express them, they will get trapped in your body and they will manifest in a way that you don't want to experience, like dis-ease or sometimes even paralyzation, maybe ailments or sickness. That's why whenever you feel emotion, it's so important to feel it through. You don't need to react, but just feel it through and embrace it so that it can pass through you, because you are an alchemist. And so that emotion from the assault actually manifested in paralyzation, and I could no longer move my legs. And we tied it back to the fall from the roof. But I ended up seeing a beautiful, beautiful healer, which is where my kind of awakening journey began. His name was Dr. Matthew Longwell, and he works at Harmony Whole Health. He's a non-force chiropractor, and I waited. 3 doctors wanted to give me surgery, right? He didn't want to give me surgery. He actually wanted to puzzle my spine back into place. And within like 8 months to about a year, I was able to, like, get back on my feet. And you can imagine, like, those 8 months, that is where I learned the importance of family. Like, like, I was bedridden. I could barely brush my teeth and go to the bathroom. And my sisters were helping me. My mother, they're all nurses. So I was like, what a blessing to be born into this family. And, like, I used to take them for granted. I used to think, like, they don't love me. And I just realized I was expecting a certain love that I gave. And I learned the 5 love languages. I was like, wow, okay. If you have not read the 5 love languages, I really recommend it. It is by, I have it right here. You know the author of the
I,
5 love?
I don't know. I don't know the author, but I have heard of it. Yes. The five languages, I've read what they are. I haven't read the actual book.
Yes. So there's, like, acts of service, gift giving, affirmations. Um, there's 5 different ones. I'm blanking on it.
Acts of service, gift giving, quality time,
All the time.
physical touch.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So
And
that helped you get a better relationship with your parents?
no, that helped me realize that I was loved the whole time, just not in the way that I was expecting, you know what I mean? And that really broke so much resistance and, like, walls that I had built, thinking I couldn't be myself because I wasn't accepted and loved. But really, it was just me not loving and accepting myself. And that was my realization, and that was the beginning that started the healing with my parents.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's a beautiful story. I'm
Thank you.
sorry that, I mean, that you had to go through all that. I mean, you are a brave soul for choosing this journey. you know.
Yeah, I'm grateful for it. Like, I'm super grateful, because I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for that part of my journey.
Yeah. And so the healing that happened within your family happened after you had your awakening, you would say?
Yeah, the way I get along with my family now has only been like the past 5 years. Before that, I kind of felt like my parents were trying to control my life instead of realizing like, no, they're trying to support you so that you can have the best life. You know what I mean? And realizing that and kind of getting out of my own way is what allowed me to realize like, damn, I have a good life. Why am I trying to ruin it by, rushing through school and getting a job that like I'm not even sure that I want? And I'm really glad that the fire service didn't work out because it was almost like allowing me to come back to the beginning of like, okay, I'm done with high school, I'm starting college, what do I want to be? Like I got to see that again and my childhood dream is to be a supermodel, so I like that's something that I even like came to the surface recently because before it was something that I kind of felt embarrassed and ashamed because I felt that way about my body. But through healing that relationship, it's allowed my inner child to really come out and express herself and feel safe around her parents and not afraid.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, that's beautiful. Now, how is it living with your family? How I know you live with your family. When you didn't always, you moved out and then moved back in, right? You didn't always
Yeah,
stay with them.
I did. I moved out. So the reason I like went to college right away after high school and busted my ass to finish school fast is because I wanted to move out of my parents' house. That's the goal. Like, it's like, yeah, 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 go, go, go. And then like when all that happened, I realized how important family was. And I know a lot of people are getting that now, that realization now with the pandemic. Like a lot of people felt so isolated and alone and being away from your family. Like at least I assume many people got a realization of, damn, I'm so grateful for my family. I know I was able to see that from moving out and being alone and like realizing how lonely it is. I'm just like, man, like this sucks. I love feeling my mom's energy downstairs. I love being close to my sister next door. Like my sister literally lives in the house next door. Like she's my parents' neighbor.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, it's such a beautiful family unit. And I didn't realize how much love surrounded me because I was so consumed in my mind about, how much my life sucked when it was absolutely breathtaking the entire time. And
Yeah.
I just didn't see that. I had a different color pair of glasses on and I'm glad those have been transformed and
That's
transmuted.
good. That's good. Yeah, now you're not looking for what's wrong in the situation. You're looking for what's
I'm
beautiful.
grateful for what is.
For what is. Yeah, grateful for what is. Yeah, that's amazing. So did you have to work on each relationship individually as like as far as integrating your whole self after awakening and doing work and all that stuff? Um, how did that go on? Like how do you set boundaries? I don't explain to the listeners and to me.
Definitely boundaries are super important and you realizing your parents are as human as you are, you know what I mean, and also having to tell them like, hey, look, I am my own human being, okay, like I please, like, this is a mutual relationship, we respect each other, like having that conversation with them and making sure they understand because sometimes they still don't understand, and sometimes there is that gray area where they're your parents and they want to give you everything. At least I'm grateful enough to have those parents. Not everyone's parents are like that, but my parents, man, they will get on their knees and like it's also me understanding, hey, I don't want to take advantage of you, like let me support you now, like, let's meet in the middle at least. If you want to help me, however you wish to help me as a gift, beautiful, but no strings attached, okay? Because in the past there were strings attached, like parents do that, they're like, all right, let me see good grades, no B's, no keys, like it's like, all right, there's this pressure that comes, and that's actually why I ended up moving out. I didn't like the pressure that I felt. And instantly when I moved out of my parents' house, I felt an umbilical cord cut, like,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents have a rule: once you move out, you don't come back. Like, you've made that choice. I'm sorry. Like, once you choose to leave the nest, you have to do that. So they're like, be sure you're ready. And my sister, when I was younger, my older sister had moved out and she did try to come back. And my parents, to set an example, they were like, no.
No, is she the
Yes,
oldest?
she's the oldest.
Oh my God.
And they were like, no, you left to go be with the boy, and she had left, and that's my niece's father now, but like in my mind, the story really like shaped me up. I was like, all right, you're not leaving until you're ready with the career and all this and that, and so that's what I had worked so hard for my whole life, and so long story short, yeah, I had to change each relationship with my family. And when I moved out, I came home crying to my mom, just like crying, because I'm like, wow, how did you do it? Like, you guys were immigrants when you moved here, and like, how did you do it? The struggle, like, you went to school and worked full time and raised children. Like, my mind was so blown that I had a newfound respect for my parents. Like, I started kneeling to them and like, how can I serve you? Like, you, thank you for this life. Thank you for this breath that I'm here breathing, just infinite gratitude for them, that I haven't let that go since moving out. And coming back, they actually asked me to come back. Like,
Aw.
yeah, and I was like really touched, because like my story and my fear of like my older sister, like I didn't realize, like, damn, I'm so grateful, and I know me being the baby has a role to play with it, because life is hard. And I think also them realizing that I went through something tough, and realizing like that's going to take time to heal. I think they really were so welcoming and open, and they created a new dynamic to allow us all to realize we're new people, I'm not that little girl anymore. Like, and my parents wanted to pay for me to go back to school, and I was like, no, no, you already paid for one degree, you don't need to pay for another. And I was just so set on like not taking advantage of them, right? Because like that's not who I am. But I realized like my mom, she's huge on education, and she believes like education is so important, and if you can do it, do it. So like she's like, please let me invest in your future. She's like, it's an investment for me, and she's like, what happened to you wasn't your fault, and like her just realizing like what I've been through, and me realizing what she has been through, and respecting each other's lives, like that was the new foundation of our relationship. But it's every day that I have to, build boundaries if they come up. For example, um, if my mom does something that I don't appreciate, it's like, okay, this is hard to say, but I didn't appreciate that, this is how it made me feel. And then she'll tell me like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I meant it this way because I don't want this to happen to you. Like, she gives me her point of view, and then it's like, oh wow, you really just were looking out for me, and it's not personal. and it's those conversations that get you to that place of like, damn, okay, I was in my head just like you were in yours. And like realizing, like, all right, let's go back to love and giving each other like just love. Can I get you a plate of dinner? Can I make you dinner, mom? Please sit, you worked all day. Like, like it's a giving relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, it's being able to give to each other, be there for each other. And also I love the part that you talked about, like you're doing your healing of your trauma, of your experience, and that helping your mom heal as well, something that she has maybe gone through. and openly healing together with your family, I think is amazing, as far as like a therapeutic tool, because it releases that energy, right? And it heals ancestral lines, like down the line, that we don't even know about. And I think it's important for us to want to be vulnerable with our family, because like for me, for example, I always was trying to get away from my family and always had a wall up, like, because I felt like I was the black sheep. I wasn't accepted for who I was. And so I always had like a wall up. I didn't, was like very secretive with my life. You know, I don't know if it's the Scorpio side of me or what. And so I think it's very important that that vulnerability that you share, that you have, with your family, for us to be open to start doing little steps. Not everybody's going to be able to open up that quickly. And then also some people have trauma, that was caused directly by the parent, maybe abuse, and that kind of stuff. And abuse, if you're in an abusive situation, you obviously have to get out of that and seek help. Um, if you can get out of it, of course. But also, if it was, let's say, something that your parent did when you were young, also being able to see the different perspectives, seeing that they were only acting from their current state of consciousness, you know, and being able to offer forgiveness, compassion, because you forgive yourself also for your shit that you've done in your life, you know. Um, so I think that's also very, very important in the family dynamic. And I'm just grateful to be able to hear your story and to see, you know, see how things have changed for you, you know. So are things in your family better, you would say, than ever?
So yeah, right now it's the best, my like the closest my family's ever been, and like actually like in December, all of us are gonna go to Disneyland, like my three sisters, my mom, my dad, and all their kids, right? And it's like the last time we did that, I was a little girl, like maybe 3 years old, and I don't even remember. It's just the photos I see, and I'm just like, damn, my parents, they are so proud of not what we do, but of who we are as human beings. Like they love us. And I realized I had this expectation that my parents wanted me to be successful in a career, but really they just want me to be happy, however that looks. And they realized them letting go and allowing me to live my life for me is what has allowed this relationship to really be this newfound friendship where we support and inspire each other, And my mom recently, like I said, she went back to school for her bachelor's to support and inspire my sisters to go with her. And like, I was mind blown. I was like, wow, my mom's a badass. Like, she
That's an
freaking,
awesome parent.
yeah, she just really is so amazing. And I'm really grateful to have her because the wisdom that she's offered me has really allowed me be so much of who I am today, that integrated with my own stories of this life and the wisdom that those stories have brought me. They've really allowed me to ground myself in just this gratitude and appreciation for what is right now.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, and you since you live with your family, this is something that is a daily thing, that you are interacting with them, and on a physical level. Even if you're not interacting with them on a physical level, I think it's important that you do have a daily practice. I think, how you're saying that grounding yourself and all that, I'm sure you have your own spiritual practice that helps you to navigate these relationships, correct?
I do. I have daily practices, make that pearl
Yeah.
because it is definitely something that I I can really say 80% of my healing has come from my daily practices.
Mm.
And it is not to be taken lightly. I mean, even to where I am today physically, like I wasn't supposed to be able to walk anymore after I injured myself. And after 4 years of like constant healing, I'm not running, and this year alone, I've ran almost 500 miles,
Ah,
Yeah. And that is new. I know. Yeah. Thank you. But, I'm just like, anything is possible. And it's showed me like, your daily practice, if there's anything you need to do in a day, it's your daily practice, and my daily practice for me is it changes every day. It could be going on a run, going on a swim, going on a walk, doing a breathwork meditation, taking a nap. It could be cooking for myself, really healthy meals for the week, meal prep. It could be drawing and journaling and making music and playing with the guitar, writing letters of forgiveness, so many things. The list goes on and on and on. And it's just about getting creative and following your inner guidance, your intuition to whatever that voice is telling you. Like if it's telling you like, hey, can you draw right now? Like listen to it, and go draw, turn off the TV, and just go within and know that being in that space where you're just with yourself, that's where the deepest healing comes.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, your daily practice doesn't have to look the same every day, huh? I need reminding of that too because I get so stuck in like because routine works well for me, like because I can just I get I'm like a machine at that point. I'm like dun, 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 but so I get stuck in the same kind of spiritual practices, and so sometimes breaking out of that really does help to snap you out of it, like if you're because sometimes it sometimes it gets very mundane and then you don't want to do it at that point, and you have different insights when you do different things, you know what I mean? So sometimes spirit wants to talk to you in a different way through a different modality. So it's good to try different things and keep an open mind because we always want to keep an open mind. Right? Yes, love it. um
Can I
I
have
want to ask, how do you nourish your roots?
um
Talked about nourish your roots. What do you mean when you say nourish roots?
nourishing my roots? That's exactly what I wanted to add. Yeah, so to nourish my roots, like part of my daily practice is also like, every time I see my grandfather, I'm like, oh, hi, grandpa, and I give him a kiss. And that wasn't always the case. I used to not do that, but I realized like I'm not gonna have my grandpa around forever, and nobody kisses my grandfather, like, So I started giving him kisses every day, and when it started, he'd push me away. He'd be like, no, 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 no. And I'd be like, like forcing myself. I'm like, all right, all right, all right, all right, But every day I'd try, every day, and then I saw the gradual change, and then eventually it got to a place where he'd be like, "Oh, okay, okay, no, okay," And then it got to a point where he started blushing, like, "Oh, Christy, Christy, thank you," And now he like expects it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now he's like, exactly," and like he
Kiss.
like tells everybody about the kisses, and he always tells people about me, and they're like, "Man, you're really his favorite person," and I'm like, I give him love, you know what I mean? I like his children, they don't really appreciate my grandfather because he used to not appreciate them, and you could see that relationship. So I also got to see that, and me and my sisters, we don't want that for my father. We want to love him and we want to support him, and we want him to know like, hey, look, we love you. And my father and two other of my father's siblings are actually like taking care of my grandfather, but besides that, it's really just us, and he lives here, and I want my father to be respected by his grandkids. I want my father to be loved, and it's us who are going to show my father like, hey, you're not your mistakes either. We forgive you, and we hope you can forgive yourself. You deserve this love too, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful.
Nourishing the roots.
That's nourishing the roots. Yeah, I love it. That is nourishing the roots. Yeah, that's very helpful. And I really love that you're sharing, your beautiful story, your family, because it's very intimate. Family is that's how you learn how to love. You know, I know how you were saying that you basically forced your physical love, your physical affirmation of touch love onto your grandpa, right?
Yeah.
So he was exposed to that kind of love language through you. So that's like what our family, like different family members play different roles, you know, exposing us to different ways of loving. So be open to receive that information of, oh, this is a way of loving, you know what I mean? Like, and appreciate that too. Yeah.
And you being the black sheep, Luna, like that's a beautiful example to just point out, like you're there to break these curses, and it's
Uh-huh.
not easy. It's not gonna be easy, and people might think that you're like weak or crybaby, but really you're the strongest one there. Like you're there to hold the fort and to, like walk through with your head high and showing them, be that example of love, because through that example you give them permission to be their example too, and then you learn something beautiful as well. And it's just a weaving of love within that family unit. And like you said, it's intimate, but every family is different, and do it unconditionally without expectation that they have to receive it. Like when my grandfather didn't receive my kisses at first, like don't take that personal. Like,
Yeah.
it might feel like rejection, and it might hurt, but know that that's where you have healing to do, like that pain, because eventually, like, yeah, you're going to laugh that off, and
Yeah.
it's so rewarding to see their growth. And my grandpa looks 5 years younger since I started giving him kisses. You know what I mean? I'm just like, dude, he's 93, and I'm just like, I know our kisses will keep him here longer. like.
Yes. Ashe. Ashe. For sure.
uh,
Yes. Because he's smiling. He's feeling that love. Love is powerful, man. Love is so powerful. I love it. I love it. Amazing. Is there anything that you want to touch on specifically that we didn't already talk about?
how much time do we have left?
I don't even know how much time has gone by, girl. Let's see.
Either, but I was wondering if you wanted to touch on like romantic relationships, and kind of like a different perspective on that, of how your family healing that can really play a role in romantic relationships. If not, if we don't have time to go deep like that, no worries.
Yeah, we can touch on that. So healing your family dynamic and your family wounds and all of that kind of relationship, learning how to be in those relationships in a healthy way and showing up as your full self, right? That also, since you learn how to love through your family, that also plays a hand in how you love with romantic partners as well, correct?
Yes, and attracting a healthy partnership, you know what I mean? And man, I'm telling you, if you haven't healed your relationships with your family, don't look for a relationship outside your family unit yet. You know what I mean? Even if they come, let them be your friend first. They will wait, you know what I mean? If they really love you and they believe you're the one, like trust the universe, they will wait, and time will pass for you'll meet again, and like at a crossword. But your family relationships, they're really gonna show you where you have blind sides to go into relationships, and allow yourself to heal so that you can really live your best life. And it's not always easy to do this work. And maybe we already are in relationships that we're like, man, how did I get here? You know what I mean? Where do I go from here? Start by healing yourself, healing you, and then healing your family, and working that way, like, letting it pulse outside yourself. If you have children, even better, because that's an inside look at yourself right there, a deep reflection of how you feel in that relationship. It really is even more interconnected, and it's every person's an opportunity. But yeah, I would really, really recommend, healing that. And if you have a partner, allowing them to be a part of that healing journey with you, because they are now your family too, you know what I mean? And so that relationship now is, yeah.
Yeah. Now it's all grown. Yeah, because I know that when you are in a romantic relationship, your inner child gets triggered like crazy. So if you haven't healed those inner child wounds, best believe that they're going to be flared up. Right. So, what kind of tips do you give to people who are trying to get into healing, to start to heal their family dynamic or their relationship dynamic? Where can they start? What's a good place to start?
I would start with writing letters, and you don't have to give it to them. Eventually, maybe you'll write one that you will want to give to them. But I would start with writing letters and allowing yourself to write these letters in different perspectives. You know what I mean? Maybe even writing it from your parents' perspective, from your siblings' perspective. You know what I mean? And allowing that change to take place. And I would really recommend prayer, deep, deep prayer for yourself and for your loved ones, you know, praying for you to change so that you can see this relationship in new light. Um, but yeah, that's a good place to start. Also, if you're interested in sitting with plant medicine, I would just like to recommend the Earth Temple. It's a beautiful, beautiful place here in Los Angeles that people can connect with through theearthtemple.com. And I'd recommend it if you'd want to sit with plant medicine, ayahuasca, or combo, possibly even Niños medicine. They're a Native American church, and it's a beautiful, beautiful ceremony that they hold for that healing.
Beautiful. Thank you for that recommendation. Yes, yes. I definitely gonna look into that. I haven't, you have to feel the call. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
I really believe in that.
yeah. I believe so as well. Anything else that you want to add before we drop your handles for your social?
No, just thank you so much for being here and for allowing me to share my stories and
Ah,
yeah, thank you so much. I pray that this brings healing for all those who are meant to hear this and much love and blessings.
yes, thank you so much. I know that these stories will bring healing to those ears that listen. Thank you, Spirit, for this healing that's transpired. Yes. Drop your handles. Let us know. See, where can the people find you?
So people can find me at C_bear, and that is spelled C with a 5 and bear with an 8.
So at 5EA underscore 8EAR.
Yes,
Correct? Ooh,
that's
I
it.
wrote it down because I'm like, girl, I need to get this right.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, C, so much for being on today's podcast of Infinite Souls. As always, mucho, mucho love and light to all my infinite beings, my infinite souls. I love you. Ciao.
Oh, thank you.